Alright, what's up guys, Azura here, back again with another video. This time we're going to be taking a look at another one of these clans that got a bit of support from the Fires collection. All of them, but this time we're looking at Nubatama. They got two strides like every other clan. They got two okay strides. Both the strides are okay, not amazing, not terrible. But since since I'd never done a video for this clan before, I thought I'd take a look at it and do it now. So without further ado, here is the list. So nothing too stand out or anything. I'd say this list is relatively common, give or take some ratios probably. But considering this clan has like literally no cards, I think this clan has actually only 3 different triple rares, not citing the new stuff. So very little to choose from. I think there's like one thing you might change with the list I'm playing right now. But regardless, we will take a look at the list that I am playing. First off, the starter. I'm playing the Kuroko. His skill is when this unit hits, when the attack that this unit boosted hits the Vanguard, Soul Blast 2, and then choose 2 cards from your opponent's bind zone and put them into drop zone. So if you don't know, the whole gimmick is like binding your stuff. This is like binding stuff from your hand, binding stuff from your board. But then at the end of the turn, those cards go back to their hand. So this card basically removes the card for you. So it's very important, definitely very important that you play the starter. Part of it's also super required for the whole combo of Fuki, Tamahagane on turn 2, and which I will go over once we go over all those cards. So keep in mind, very important starter. This starter does end up dying a lot because your opponent will try to kill it just because this is like your main way to wipe them out of the bind zone. So expect to get maybe one, maybe 2 uses of it, if this card will die, but this card is actually very needed to be played because it's part of your turn 2 combo. It's your main way to remove stuff from the bind zone, and you honestly have nothing else better to play too. So very good starter, definitely your main starter. So yeah. Next up, grade 1s, we play 2 stride fodder. It searches for Shiranuis, I think. Yeah, it searches for Shiranui, but obviously that doesn't exist yet, so you play 2 of it, just extra stride fodder. Next up, we play for the PG, the Kurenai. It's the counter charge PG. New heavy PG, no reason not to play, because counter charging is always a good thing. So 4 of this. Next up, we're playing for Fuki's. His skill is, if your opponent's hand has 3 or more cards, counter blast 1, put this unit into your soul. To choose 1 random card from your opponent's hand and bind it, and at the end of their turn, return that card to their hand. So binds the card, and then you use something like to get rid of it. So for this dude, and then finally, last 3 slots is the Void Master. I think it's the name of this card. Or is it Dreadmaster? Dreadmaster. His skill is when the attack this unit's attack boosted hits CV2 to have your opponent discard 1 card at the start of their turn of their choice. So at the start of their turn, a pop-up will appear, and they'd have to discard 1 card before drawing. So that's what I make them get rid of cards in the hand, and yeah, just mainly because you really have nothing else better to play. You either play like a few copies of this, or you play more copies of the stride fodder. And I personally didn't really feel like I need that many copies of the stride fodder, so I personally opted for more copies of this in case it ever comes up, just because this card is effective, actually pretty not bad. So yeah, that's it for the grade 1s. Grade 2s. First off, we are playing 4 of this guy, the Danrani Kongo. So his skill is if your Vanguard when this unit attacks the Vanguard, if you're in Legion, plus 2k. So solo attacker, and its other skill is when this unit's attack hits, if you're in Legion, Soul Blast 1. To put 2 cards from your opponent's bind zone into their drop zone. So your other way to get rid of cards from their bind zone, this is the second most practical way aside from the Kuroko. This dude also gets rid of it, but this is a much better way aside from the starter if it dies. So definitely to max out on it. It's also the mate to your legions, to both your legions actually. One of your 2 mates for the triple legion and your mate for the double legion. So serves multi-purpose, no reason not to play 4 of it. So yeah. Next up, we are playing 4 of the his name is Murasame Kongo. His skill is when placed, if you're in Legion, discard a card from your hand to add grade 3 Shura Stealth Dragon from your deck to your hand, and if you added, choose 1 card from your opponent's bind zone and put it into their drop zone, and they get plus 2k. So this also gets rid of drop zone for you. So the search skill is relevant because The double Legion is a Persona discard, so this can help you fetch copies of this to use its skill. So when you play 4 of it, and also doubles other solo attacker if you use this skill. So very nice. Again, this clan is very limited in what it can play, so you play 4 of each mate just because you honestly have nothing better to play. I probably wouldn't want to play so many copies of this card, but because you have nothing better to play, you kind of have to play. You kind of play the least bad cards that you have options to. So yeah. Next up, the actual good grade 2 in this deck is the Tamahagane. Its skill is Vanguard Rear. On plays, choose one of your opponent's. On plays, bind one of your opponent's rear guards. At the end of the turn, put that card back to their hand. So the whole Fuki Bear combo that I mentioned earlier is turn 2. You would, assuming they have a starter on their board or something on their board, you would ride this card, the bear. You bind their starter. Now you have 1 soul and they have 1 card in bind. Next up, you put the Fuki down. Use Fuki skill, CB1, put it itself into soul. Now you have 2 soul. You bind a card from their hand, and then you'd use the Kuroko to boost the whoever you wrote, the bear if you wrote it. It hits, and then since you have 2 soul now because of the Fuki, and they have exactly 2 cards in the bind zone, you rip the 2 cards, you rip the card out of their hand, and you rip the starter off of the board. So yeah, that's the whole turn 2 combo. Very nice when you can get it off, but it does require you to actually draw 2 grade 1s, one specifically having to be Fuki and one having to be a ride, and then the bear. Happens often enough that it is a very valid play, and a play you'd consider damage denying if you were playing against this deck. I won't say you have to, but it's something you have to think about. Just if you think about if you really value the cards in your hand for some reason, it's like a lot for some reason. So that play is something you have to worry about, and it's probably this deck's best play. This deck can do this play turn 1, it's in a very good spot, or turn 2, it's in a very good spot. So yeah. And then finally, the last one of grade 2 is the Kokujo. His skill is when something is bind when your opponent's card is bound, this unit gets plus 3k until end of turn. So and you just act as a solo attacker. Nothing else. Again, nothing really better you could play here. Funny thing is, if you're playing as Dungary and they bind their own cards, this card actually does get power off of that. Basically not relevant, but just something fun to know if you didn't already know that. So one of the 2, and that's it for the grade 2s. On to the grade 3. We are playing, first off, we're playing, or I guess triggers, we're playing 4 heal guards. Heal guards are heal guards, no reason not to play them. Pretty cute too. And the one of is the break card, the Kuji Kitty Kongo. I only have 1 of this card. There definitely is arguments to play more than 1 of this card, but I only have 1, so I will only play 1. But hit skill is break 4, break card, give your Vanguard 10k, and your opponent binds a random card from their hand, and then they return that card to the hand at the end of the turn. And it also has a skill that as far as the opponent, you make them discard a card. So it's like technically it's like a -2 to your opponent on break card, assuming you can get rid of the card you bind from their hand. So pretty good break card. That's why you would consider playing more of this card. But again, I only have 1 of it, so I'm only going to play 1 of it. If you had more of it, I honestly probably would consider just playing 4 of it straight up instead of 4 of this Legion. But so it'd be something like 4 of the break card, 4 of the triple Legion, and 4 of the double Legion, so, or 1 of the double Legion. So something like that. But again, this is fine too. 8 Legions, 1 break card is also fine. So yeah, having more Legions just means more of your Legion cards. The card you'd be in Legion are active more often. So yeah, comes down to preference. But in my case, I can't play more of it. So yeah. Next up is the double Legion, the Mandora Kongo. So this card Legion's only with the Rani Kongo, the double rare, or the rare. So its skill is, if you are in Legion, discard a card from your hand with the same name as your Vanguard. So while you're in Legion, your grade 3 or your grade 2 Vanguard, to bind one of your opponent's rear guards, and your opponent has 4 or more cards in their hand, choose 2 cards from their hand and bind them at random. And at the end of the turn, you put those cards back into their hand, and when this unit attacks the Vanguard, if you have another unit in the middle column of this card, plus 3k. So very powerful, actually pretty powerful effect. -1 to board, -2 to hand. But only thing is, this thing does cost a Persona discard, so it does relatively heavy cost just because it's a specific discard and it's a -1 to your own hand in a deck that doesn't plus. So fine skill, slightly heavier on the cost side, but still a pretty good skill nonetheless. And finally, the last grade 3 is the Hokage combo. Its skill is when you Legion. So on Legion, buying one card from your opponent's board, and then buying one card from their hand, and then the usual, they go back to the hand at the start of the turn. And another skill is during if you have a card in the middle column of this card, you can soul blast one, gives this card plus 2k power. So this card actually did get buffed from what it originally was. Originally, it only binded one card from their board, but now it binds from hand and board. So before it was pretty bad, now it's pretty good. So yeah, this is definitely the card you play for regardless of what you're playing in your other slots. So yeah. And finally, your G Zone. That's it for grade 3. Your triggers, and finally your G Zone. I play 2 of the triple rare. The Jorikakan. These names are all beyond me how to say them properly, but its skill is when this unit attacks the Vanguard, Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 2 to choose one of your opponent's rear cards and bind it, and your opponent has 3 or more cards in hand, choose a random card from your opponent's hand and bind it. Then, if your Vanguard is a Shura Stealth Dragon, so literally any grade 3 you ride, because they all have Shura Stealth Dragon in name, put those cards into their bind zone or into their drop zone. If not, those cards go back to their hand at the end of the turn. So this card gets straight up gets rid of the card for you. No need to have Kuroko or anything like that. So pretty nice there. But since this card is on attack to Vanguard, you can only bind back row with it, but which isn't a bad thing or anything, right? You still neg them a back row, neg them card from your hand for a honestly pretty sizable cost. So Blast 1, Can Blast 2 is pretty heavy, but this card does come up. But since this card's cost is so heavy, I do not want to play more than 2 of this card, even if I had more of it. And next up, the stride you usually end up going into in most situations is the oh my god, the Gedatsu Urakan or something like that. Again, these names are all beyond me. His skill is when this unit attack hits the Vanguard CV1 to have your opponent discard 1 card at the start of their turn. So this card is like the Dreadmaster, except it's lighter on cost. So yeah, again, like since this skill is so light on cost, you go into this card more often than not, just because it's only CV1, pretty good. So yeah, that's it for these cards, and then the generic cards when Medu, on place. If your Vanguard's base power is 10k or lower, you can add a creature from your drop into your hand. This card is if you don't know, if you're in Legion, your Vanguard is your mate is counted towards this, so you can. If you are in Legion, you do get to add off of this. Pretty nice with the Double Legion, just because it can grab your Persona copies back, grab you re-rides back. Just a very good stride to go into if you don't want to go into one of these two to do things. And finally, the last one is the Harmonix Messiah. Unlock, discard 1 per unlock. So yeah. So that's it for this list. I'll have some games for you guys as per usual after this. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Tell me you guys what you think about this deck, what this list, whatever. Even pronunciations of these card names. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.